Derek drives a $68,000 SUV. His house sits in a gated suburb with a three-car garage. He takes two international vacations a year, dines at the kind of restaurants that don't list prices on the menu, and wears a watch that costs more than most people's monthly mortgage payment. His LinkedIn profile reads Senior Vice President, $240,000 base salary. His neighbors assume he is set for life. His coworkers assume retirement is already handled. His childhood friend Nathan lives 40 minutes away in a two-bedroom townhouse. He drives a 7-year-old Honda. He clips digital coupons. He has not taken a vacation in 3 years. He earns $74,000 a year managing a mid-size accounting office. Most people who know him assume he is just getting by, building towards something, eventually, once life slows down a little. At 58 years old, Derek has a net worth of $31,000. Nathan has a net worth of $740,000. Same country, same generation, opposite financial realities, and the gap between them has nothing to do with income. Here is what almost no one understands about money in America. The number on your paycheck is not the number that determines your financial future. There is a different number, one most people never track, rarely discuss, and almost universally misunderstand. And that number is the only one that actually tells the truth about where you stand. The single most misunderstood principle in personal finance is this: income and wealth are not the same thing. Two people can earn identical salaries their entire careers and arrive at retirement with a gap of hundreds of thousands of dollars between them, not because of luck, not because of inheritance, not because of market timing, but because of the daily, invisible choices they made about managing, saving, and investing their money. According to 2022 data from the Federal Reserve, the average net worth of American families sits at $1,063,700. That figure sounds reassuring until you realize the median net worth, the number that reflects the actual middle of the population, is just $192,200. That $871,500 gap between average and median tells you everything about how wealth is concentrated in this country and who is actually building it. This is a breakdown of what net worth is, what the data says about where Americans actually stand, and what separates the people who build real wealth from the people who only look like they have it. Start with the foundation. Net worth is calculated by a single formula: total assets minus total liabilities. Assets include savings and checking accounts, investments and stocks, real estate, primary residences, and retirement accounts like 401ks and IRAs. Liabilities include mortgage balances, car loans, credit card debt, and student loans. Subtract what you owe from what you own, and what remains is your true financial position. Now look at what that formula produces across the American population. The Federal Reserve conducts its survey of consumer finances every 3 years. The 2022 data, the most current comprehensive snapshot available, reveals a country divided not by income, but by behavior. The average net worth of American families, $1,063,700. The median net worth, $192,200. The average is pulled violently upward by the ultra-wealthy. The median tells you what is actually happening for the family in the middle. And from 2019 to 2022, that median grew, rising 37%, while the mean grew 23%. Significant progress, but still, the middle of America sits at $192,200 in total net worth. Then break it down by income level and the numbers become even more revealing. According to the same Federal Reserve 2022 data, families in the bottom 20% of income carry a median net worth of just $14,000 and an average of $129,700. The 20 to 39.9% income band shows a median of $71,000 and an average of $218,700. The 40 to 59.9 range sits at a median of $159,300 and an average of $385,400. But here is the number that should stop you cold. Only 54.3% of Americans own any retirement account at all. Meanwhile, 98.6% own a transaction account, meaning nearly every American has a checking or savings account. but barely half have made any structured investment in their own future. 86.6% own a vehicle. 66.1% own their primary residence. The assets most Americans hold are the ones that depreciate or carry debt, not the ones that compound. That is the data. Now, the question is, why? The behavioral force at work here has a name. It operates quietly, consistently, and across almost every income level. It is the gap between perceived wealth and actual wealth, the tendency for human beings to use visible markers of financial success, cars, homes, vacations, clothing, as a substitute for the invisible work of building a real balance sheet. As Ina Revilis, CFP, has stated, net worth reflects not just how much money you make, but how well you manage, save, and invest your resources. That sentence sounds simple. Its implications are devastating for most households. When income rises, spending rises with it. A raise becomes a better car. A promotion becomes a larger mortgage. A bonus becomes a kitchen renovation. Each of these moves feels rational, even responsible, because they are visible signals of success. And human beings are wired to signal. Status is not a modern invention. The need to demonstrate position within a social group is embedded in behavior, stretching back millennia. The problem is that the financial system does not reward signals. It rewards assets. It rewards the retirement account that nobody sees. It rewards the index fund that never comes up at dinner. It rewards the paid-off credit card balance and the emergency fund sitting silently in a high-yield savings account. None of these things are impressive at a glance. All of them are building something real. And here is the painful irony. The man who looks wealthy is often not. The man driving the $68,000 SUV with a $62,000 auto loan is holding a liability, not an asset. The man with the sprawling house and the maxed credit cards has manufactured an image of wealth while his actual net worth trends toward zero. Meanwhile, the man managing money quietly, deliberately, and without fanfare is building the kind of financial foundation that actually funds a retirement, weathers an emergency, and creates choices. You will never see his financial decisions on social media. That is precisely why they work. Two American households, same income, different outcomes. The math makes this visceral. Household A earns $85,000 a year. He saves regularly, invests a fixed portion of every paycheck into a retirement account, pays off his high-interest credit card debt ahead of schedule, cuts unnecessary expenses, and redirects freed-up cash into building assets, index funds, growing equity in a primary residence, and an IRA alongside his employer plan. Household B also earns $85,000 a year. He carries credit card debt, the kind that charges double-digit interest, and makes minimum payments each month. He upgraded his vehicle twice in the past decade, each time rolling negative equity into a new loan. He owns his home but has not built meaningful equity because he refinanced to pull cash out for lifestyle expenses. His retirement account, if he has one, was opened but never funded consistently. After 20 to 25 years, both men have earned nearly identical gross income over their careers. But the Federal Reserve's 2022 data shows what behavioral differences produce over time. In the 40% to 59.9% income range, the median net worth is $159,300. In the 80% to 89.9% income range, it climbs to $747,000. The distance between those two households is not measured in raises. It is measured in choices made over years about how to manage, save, and invest. Household B's net worth is dominated by liabilities, mortgage balance, car loans, credit card debt, student loans. Assets exist, but they are offset. The formula, total assets minus total liabilities, produces a number that is a fraction of what his income would suggest. Household A's liabilities are shrinking. His assets are compounding. The same formula produces a number that bears no resemblance to his modest lifestyle. That is the point. Building net worth is not about how much money flows through your hands. It is about how much of it stays. Meet Ryan and Marcus, same hometown in Ohio, both 32 years old when this story begins. both earning in the same income range, both starting from the same baseline, a checking account, a modest car, and the same approximate understanding of how money works. Ryan gets his first real raise at 34 and upgrades his apartment, his car, and his wardrobe within 6 months. He carries a credit card balance that he intends to pay off soon. He has a 401k through his employer, but contributes just enough to avoid feeling like he should do more. When asked about investing, he says he plans to get serious about it once things settle down. They never do. At 45, Ryan earns well. His net worth on paper, assets minus liabilities, puts him somewhere in the $40,000 to $70,000 range. He looks comfortable. He is not. Marcus starts saving regularly from his first paycheck and never stops. He treats it as non-negotiable, a fixed portion of every paycheck redirected before he can spend it. He pays off high-interest credit card debt within 18 months of incurring it and commits to never repeating that pattern. He invests consistently in a retirement account. He buys a modest home and builds equity rather than tapping it. He does not drive a car that impresses anyone. By 45, his assets, savings, investments, retirement accounts, and home equity have grown meaningfully while his liabilities have shrunk. By the time both men reach their early 60s, the Federal Reserve's income stratified data captures exactly what their divergent choices produce. Ryan, who earned well his entire career, arrives at retirement looking at a net worth that barely covers a few years of living expenses. Marcus, who earned less and spent less visibly, has crossed into wealth territory, a real balance sheet that generates options: retire early, retire on schedule, leave something behind, or simply stop worrying. Ryan is not uniquely irresponsible. He made the choices most men make. He spent what felt like his fair share. He enjoyed his income. He never violated any rule. He just never tracked the only number that mattered. The 2022 Federal Reserve data, the income breakdowns, the gap between average and median, all of it converges on 5 specific behaviors that separate the men who build net worth from the men who spend their working years moving money without accumulating it. First, save a fixed portion of every paycheck, not what is left over, not whatever feels comfortable this month. A fixed, predetermined amount set aside before spending decisions are made. This is the baseline. Without it, nothing else compounds. Second, invest for growth. Stocks, index funds, retirement accounts, these are the assets that compound over time. The 54.3% of Americans who own no retirement account are not just missing a tax advantage. They are missing decades of compounding that cannot be recovered. Third, eliminate high-interest debt. Credit card debt specifically destroys net worth from the liability side of the equation. Every dollar paid in high-interest charges is a dollar that will never become an asset. Prioritize it. Eliminate it. Fourth, cut expenses that do not build assets. This is not a call for deprivation, it is a call for intentionality. Freed up cash redirected toward assets creates a compounding effect that lifestyle spending never can. Fifth, track your net worth every quarter. Not to stress over short-term market swings, but to stay aligned with long-term goals and catch drift before it becomes disaster. The formula is simple: list your assets, list your liabilities, subtract. 4 times a year, 20 minutes each time. That habit alone changes behavior. Most men will keep optimizing for the appearance of wealth. You don't have to. The balance sheet is not impressed by the car in the driveway. It only counts what you own minus what you owe. And that number, quietly, is the only one that determines what your future actually looks like.